Go for the 2014 AP Computer Science A FRQ Scramble. Now, this question involves strings that are made up of uppercase letters. So all the letters will be caps. You'll be implementing two related methods that appear in the same class, and they're not shown here. They're show the signature later on, but for now, let's go over the first method. So you're going to write the method scramble word. Now, on your replit, remember that this is not something that you guys will be seeing on your AP exam, and it's not something that you're going to be able to run, so you kind of have to trust your instincts and just double check your code as much as possible. We're going to implement two methods in the scramble class, and the first one will be scramble word. And it says that the first is going to take a given word, so it's going to take a string. In this case, it's called word as the parameter, and it's going to return a string that contains the scrambled version of the word according to the following rules. So therefore, it's going to be returning a string. Notice that this is a static method, so therefore we can actually call the method without having to make an object. And notice that there's no constructor as well. So let's go over the rules. Rule number one, the scrambling process begins at the first letter of the word and continues from left to right. So we're going to go through each of the letters from left to right. That kind of tells you that you probably need to be able to do a loop, either a while loop or a for loop. If two consecutive letters consist of an A followed by a letter, that's not an A, then the two letters are swapped in the resulting string. Once the letters in two adjacent positions have been swapped, neither one of those two positions can be involved in a future swap. So let's go through the first one. Let's go and label your index 0, 1, 2. That means that we're going to go through each of the letters and we're going to compare two at a time. So I'm going to compare the T and the A. And I'm going to say, does it meet rule number 2? Is the first one an A? No. So therefore, we are going to move over to the next two, the A and the N. Now, we didn't do anything with the T. So therefore, the T will transfer as your scramble string that we need to return. Now, the A and the N, do they meet the second rule? Yes, the first one's an A, the next one's not an A. So therefore, we're going to switch them around and A. And that's how they end up with the scramble string. Now let's talk about the next one. It's a little longer, so just hang in there. We have the index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And we're going to compare two at a time. We're going to start with the A and the B. Does it meet rule number 2? Yes, the first one's an A. The second one's is 9A. So they're going to be switched around as B, A. Now, because they got switched around, neither one, the A or the B, can no longer be switched. So therefore, we're going to continue to the next two, R, A. And we're going to say, does it meet rule number 2? No. So therefore, we are going to continue with comparing the next two, which is the A and the C. Nothing happened with the R, so therefore we're going to add them to the scramble string. Index 3 and 4, does it meet the rule? Yes, so therefore we're going to switch them around. It'll be CA. We are moving to the next two because since those two cannot be moved around. So therefore we move into the AD. Does it meet the requirement? Yes, so therefore they're going to be scrambled, DA. Now we're going to continue with the next two, which is AB. Does it meet the requirement for rule number 2? Yes, so therefore we're going to switch to Moran. Those two can no longer be altered, so now we are moving to the last two. Does it meet the requirement? Uh, they don't. So therefore, those two, that will be remain. If we try to move to the next two, there's no more letter after A. So therefore, that doesn't apply. So the R will be placed where it is, and the A will also be placed there. So now let's go through the coding. And one of the things that you have to remember is that we have to remember to attack these two examples. If there's one string, or if it's an empty string, we just need to return the string. And we've done this several times when we did coding bat problems. So first, we need to be able to return a string. So I'm going to create a string variable, and that'll be the word that we're returning. So we're going to name it, I'm going to name it scramble. And I want to have as an empty string. Now that is the string that I'm going to return, so I'm going to write down return scramble, or just make sure that you make a note on your test. So now let's go and attack these two cases. So if the length of the word is less than 2, then we're just going to return the word itself and be done with the problem. If it's not, then we need to go through each of the letters and compare 2 at a time. So we know that we need to do a loop. Whether you want to do a while loop or a for loop is up to you. I know I need to go through all the letters, so I'm going to iterate through all of them by using a for loop. For int I equal to 0, so I'm going to declare and initialize my index while I is less than the length of the word, and I'm going to increase my counter. Now let's talk about comparing the first two. I'm going to compare the first two, AB, and how can I do so? So how can I make a comparison of the first one and the second one? So I'm going to make an if statement, and I will be using I for the index. So the string is word dot. Now we're going to be tempted to do char at, which you can use on your test, but most of the questions that we'll be dealing with on your AP exam will be a substring. So I'll use substring. Now I need to access just the first letter. I want to see if the first one is an A. So I'm going to do from I till I plus 1. Now, one of the things that to keep in mind with substring is that this is your beginning and this will be your end. But this character is not going to be included. It does include the first one, but it doesn't include the last one. So therefore, this is only going to return one letter as a string. Now we're going to be tempted to use a double equal sign, but because substring returns a string, we cannot compare them. We cannot compare strings with a double equal. It has to be equals. Now, if the first letter is an A, so if it's equal to A, uppercase A, and the second one is not an A. So how can we do that? Well, what will be the next one? If the first one was I plus 1, the next one afterwards will be substring I plus 1 till I plus 2. Again, we cannot say not equal to when we're comparing strings. So we're going to say equals A, and we are going to negate it to be able to indicate not equal. Now, we do have an issue. Whenever we are on the very last letter, this is going to be, let's say we are comparing the last two. The I plus 2 is going to give you, once the index is 10 in here, because the length, and I need the double parentheses since it's a method. So just be careful to place your double parentheses here for the method. Once I reach the 10th, index 10, this is going to give you an error because we don't have a letter afterwards. It's going to be an out of bounds. So the way that we're going to deal with it, we are going to say only access this whenever I is less than the word length minus 1. So therefore, once it's going to go all the way from 0, the length in this case is 11. So 0 is all the way up to 9. Once the index is 10, then this is going to be false. So it won't be evaluating this part. And therefore, you're going to be avoiding your out of bounds error. Now, what happens if it's true? Then we're going to switch them around. So we are going to add both letters to scramble, but now we're going to add them backwards. We are going to add word substring I plus 1 to I plus 2 plus I plus 1. And let me place this in braces just in case I need to have another statement. Now, what happens if it's not the case? If it's not the case, then we just add the single character or the single letter. So we're going to do an else statement. Else scramble plus equal, and we're just going to add the I plus 1. So in the same way that if once we got switched, let me go back. Once we switched the AB, the RA do not get switched. The RA do not get switched, and then we move to AC, but we do need to be able to add the R in there. And that's what we're doing in this step. Now we do still have a problem. The problem that we have is that if we do, for example, switch the A and the C, once we switch them around, we are going to jump over to AD. So therefore, we need to be able to skip a index. So I'm going to do that here, I plus plus. So that way we skip an index and we go over to index 5 and 6 instead of going 4 and 5. And that should do for the rest of for those rules. So let's see if it runs. Come through. Let me copy. And, oh, there's one error. The length. Then I take care of that on line number 20. Oh, if I can spell it correctly. Let's try once again. So therefore, the first does work for the first one. So now let's deal with part B. On part B, you're going to write the method scramble or remove, which replaces each word in the parameter wordless with the scramble version and removes any words that are not changed after you scramble them. So therefore, in this case, that one gets scrambled, this one gets scrambled, this one doesn't, this one gets scrambled, and that one doesn't. So therefore, index 2 and 4 get removed. And remember that you want to make sure that you read through this part because a lot of classes are going to give you a few more requirements. You're going to assume the scramble word is in the same class and they works as specified. We are going to use that method to remove it. So therefore, notice that in this case we are not going to return anything. So they give us a list of the words. We are going to scramble them. Then if they remain unchanged, we are going to remove it. You ready? So first, I need to go through all those words on the list. So I need to be able to do a for loop for int I equal to 0. While I is less than word less dot size. This is an array. This is a list. I plus plus. Now we have to be careful because we need to be able to remove items from the lists. I need to go in reverse order. So that's something that you want to be able to keep in mind. If you're going to remove items from an array list or from a list, we're going to go back from the highest to the lowest. And you want to make sure that you make changes to every single one of them. So in this case, we're going to go from I is word list dot size -1 because we want to start on the last one, while I is greater or equal to 0 because you want to make sure that you reach the very first one, and I minus minus. And we are going to send the word to be scrambled. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to actually just send the word to get scrambled here, and I'm going to create a string, and I'll create an empty string. So actually I can set it to get scrambled, and I can use that scramble to do more than one calculation. Because first, let's go and set it to get scramble each of the words. Scramble is going to be equals to the name of the method, and let me just lower this, is scramble word, which is here. It's a static method, so it'll be just scramble word. It's going to take a string, and we're going to send it the word list dot get I. That is going to return the word scramble. Now, if it doesn't get scrambled, then we're going to remove it. So that's what we need to do an if statement. If the word scramble is going to be the same, it's going to be equals. Remember, we cannot do a double equal sign because it's a string, so we need to be able to do equals the original word that we send in, which is the word list.get I. That means that it did not get modified, and therefore we are going to remove it. Did I miss it? Yes. And we're going to remove it, so we're going to do word list dot remove I. Else, if it's not the same, that means that it got modified, and that one needs to be replaced. We're going to replace the modified version. So we're going to use word list dot which method replaces within a array list. Set I. Now, actually set, this is going to be the location, the index, and we need to go to send in the string that we want to replace it to, so it'll be scramble. Now make sure that in this case we have a for loop and we have more than one statement, so I'll place my brace. And on your API exam, you probably want to be able to make sure that you ident perfectly and that you match your braces. And that's it. Nothing to return. We are just going to remove the ones that do not get scrambled at all. And we are going to replace with the scrambled version of the ones that are left. Let's see if I have any errors. So therefore, that will conclude this calling activity. Email me if you have any questions. Have a great day, and we are done.